Roger Ward and Philip Thompson, a book called Tradition and the Baptist Academy. And this book comes in our studies of Baptist history and thought. Stanley Hauerwas has commended this book, so it must be good. It's a series of edited contributions to a conference that was held in Regent's Park College in Oxford a while ago. And people came from all over the world actually to this conference, and these are the papers that were given. The book really deals with what Baptists do with tradition. And I'm a Baptist myself, so I know full well that Baptists are not good with tradition. We like not to suggest that we follow tradition, and yet that's very traditional. And that sort of paradox comes out very much in the book, and I think it's not just Baptists who do that. The general idea of the book, I think, that I got from it is that tradition is not simply content, but it's process. And so we're not to think of tradition as something which is written down and then just simply handed across, but rather tradition is the process of living a life within that particular denomination, and in this case it's the Baptist one. And so there are some fascinating essays in this book. Barry Harvey, for example, says that without tradition we would lose our faith in God. And by what he means by that is that, our tradition goes right the way back to the Old Testament, New Testament, the life of Christ. That's all tradition. And it's been handed down to us. And even as Baptists, we have this handed down to us. And so that's a chapter which sort of puts it into that context that it's important to believe tradition that's been handed down and the process by which it's been handed down. There are other essays, I won't tell you who's written them, it's irrelevant really, but some speak of the Baptist rights to claim a wider tradition from the broader church. And so we can accumulate, we can bring in other traditions into our context. Philip Thompson, one of the editors, encourages to employ an understanding of history in our present ecclesiology. So not just to be looking at the present day like a typical postmodern, but to use tradition, valuable and good tradition, to help us in our ecclesiology. Somebody else emphasises the concept of beauty in tradition and in theology. There's another chapter on that lovely phrase, "This is my body." What have Baptists made of that tradition? And there are other essays on the church and the state, as you'd expect, and on Baptist identity. So it's a terrific book. It's about tradition, but it's not traditional. It's one that's moving us forward in that process and keeping us current and contemporary.